right now. No stranger to MLS and a star with the Houston Dynamo, Will Bruin. Will, welcome again, my friend.
Hey, how are you doing? Thanks for having me again.
Pleasure's all mine, Will. Really appreciate you taking time to join us. Will, let's talk about this season, getting ready in about a couple weeks or less. How important is it for you guys to start off on the right foot and get a couple wins right away to get that confidence going? Because we know last year was not a year that you and your mates like to look back on.
Yeah, exactly. I always think that it's in everybody's best interest to start off on the right foot. It's harder to play catch up. So, I think the start of the season is really, really important. If you can string together some wins to get the season going, you put yourself in the driver's seat. And I think in this league, it's better to be out in front instead of trying to play catch up at the end.
Will, you got a veteran-laden team. There's not much to say once you guys start the season. You know the job at hand. You know how difficult it's going to be early on, where a lot of teams are jockeying for, for every inch on that field and making sure that they have everything in order. Talk about making sure that whatever the young players that are getting on the team this year understand the responsibility of putting on that jersey and representing the city of Houston with the long tradition they have.
Yeah, exactly. Anytime you get to put that jersey on, it's an honor, and and you always want to play your best for the crest and for the city. We have a young team this year, so that's something that's been a work in progress in preseason so far. But all the young guys have been pretty good, and it's kind of looking up to the older guys for some guidance and stuff. So we just got to make sure guys don't take it for granted, because when guys start taking it for granted, that's when things start to slide away.
Well, you've been in the league a number of years. You've seen the league grow in leaps and bounds. We saw last year an unbelievable year in MLS. I've been following it since day one, but I think last year was an unbelievable year. Jovinko, Kaká, Dos Santos. I could go on and on. Pirlo. I think this is the first time the world has said, hey, MLS is a real player. MLS is a place that I should really look into. This is a league that is growing. How great is that to play in a league today that a lot of people are considering a league on the rise?
Yeah, it's awesome. This is my sixth preseason so far, and each year it's gotten bigger. The quality of play has gotten better, and then you've seen more big-name guys come over, like you said, and I think it's getting recognized. It's getting the respect it deserves, and and it's great to be seen on a global front, because the league's getting better each year. That's making guys want to come over. That's making the teams more competitive, and that could also drag over to Champions League and stuff.
Well, the concerns that I hear from a lot of colleagues, a lot of players and friends of mine overseas in Italy and in Portugal and in Germany is that when they watch MLS games, there might be maybe one or two teams that really have an identity, a style of play, where in Europe, Barcelona, Real, Juventus, their style of play. Here, whether it's even USA under Jurgen Klinsmann or Mexico or an MLS team, there's still not that identity of play. Do you believe it's time that certain teams start to build a real good identity that people understand when they're watching them week in and week out, what identity they have?
Yeah, exactly. And to reiterate on that point, I think each year that goes by, more and more teams are kind of getting that identity. And I think that's a progress, with the way guys are brought up in the academy. I think you got to intertwine the way your academy plays from the way your first team plays. And I think each year that goes by, the more teams are going to take this philosophy and say, this is how we want to play, this is what we're going to do going forward, and this is how we're going to mold our team around it. And you're seeing more teams do it, and I think that's just great for the league, because that's going to improve the style of play once you have that direction you want to go.
Well, both divisions this year, I think, have really geared up for some real good competition throughout the whole year. A lot of people have always said the Western Conference is a cutthroat conference. I might give them the edge, just a slight edge, but I got to tell you, the Eastern Conference has grown in leaps and bounds with the players we mentioned. There might be a club or two that still might struggle, but I like the parity once and for all in MLS that I haven't seen in years gone by.
Yeah, exactly. You can break it up into the East and West, whatever you want to say, but, you've seen the perfect word that you said was parity. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. That's just how the league is. It depends on who shows up, how the team performs. So, you can look at names on paper and stuff and compare the two conferences all you want, but, it comes down to the 90 minutes at the end of the day. And, in MLS, anybody, like I said, anybody can can beat anybody on any given day for those 90 minutes in between the white lines.
You know, well, what I love here in Toronto is when the Impact and TFC get it on, whether it's in that playoff game, whether it's in regular season, it's a blast. It's a European atmosphere in the stadium, out the stadium, and I see that in Vancouver when the Timbers are in town or the Sounders. That is an unbelievable, that Pacific Northwest. I'm sure it's the same feeling when you're taking on FC Dallas. Explain it.
Yeah, those rivalry games are fun because it's more than just, it's more than just playing for the two teams for the rivalry, because the cities have rivalries, the fan bases grow rivalries, and it just makes it more fun. You want to play and win for your fans, so your fans in your city can have bragging rights over that city. So those like interstate or close rival games, they're just even more fun.
You know, well, when people say the state of Texas is a baseball state, is a football state, I'm starting to disagree more and more. We see FC Dallas, Houston Dynamo, San Antonio Scorpions. I could go on and on and on. The state of Texas for me is taking off leaps and bounds in developing young talent, in great competition, and I would not be surprised, not one bit, to see San Antonio in the MLS, and that would be a real compliment to the state of Texas. Talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. If you could get that third team like they got up in the Pacific Northwest, that three-team little rivalry would be fun, especially all in one state of Texas. But like you said, there's so much diversity in Texas that it is a soccer state too. Like you said, people look at it, it's just like, oh, everything's bigger in Texas. It's a football state, blah blah blah. But soccer is a big. There's a big following down there, and if San Antonio got an MLS team, I think that would take it over the top with that three-team rivalry.
Well, just before I let you go, we really appreciate your time. I want you to talk to the young kids out there and then also to the coaches out there. I'm a parent of two boys, and they've been in the system up here in Canada for a number of years. I've learned many lessons in my life with two boys in the system, and unfortunately still too many coaches live and die by that win, live and die by that $2 medal, that $2 trophy, live and die by that best player on the team, and they really don't give that respect to that player that's learning and developing on that bench. How important is it for the confidence of that young man that these coaches today really involve them, talk to them, communicate to them? And how important is it for you to relate to those young kids that have a dream like Will Bruin did and so many, to not give up, to believe and persevere in a day and age when so many say, hey, you're not tall enough, you're not fast enough, you're not good enough? Talk to them.
That's exactly right. Like you said, people always tell you can't do this, you can't do that. Well, for me personally, that's my motivation. I love to prove people wrong. I like to say, if somebody tells me, well, he's too big to be a soccer player, he's too this, too that, you know what, well, I'm going to show you that I'm not. So I think I've had that inner drive and that hard work ethic growing up that has helped me get to where I am today. And, to all the young kids out there, I say, you got to have fun with it. And you also got to be willing to want to get better each time you play. And that's when the coaches come into play as well. It's like you said, the coaches just want this $2 medal or whatnot, but, they're help molding kids into adults as well, just on and off the field. So that's very important because, some of these coaches get wrapped up in winning and they don't really realize how big of an impact they're having on these young kids' lives, whether it's just in soccer or shaping them into individuals. So I think, that has a big aspect to it as well.
As we close it out, Will, who do you want to thank personally in your life that never gave up on you, who believed in you, who took you to practices, took you to games, always talked to you maybe when you didn't have a great game, always left you alone maybe when you needed to be left alone? Who do you want to thank to help you to get to where you're at today?
Oh, my dad he drove me everywhere. Drove me 8-hour road trips to soccer tournaments, practices every night after work. He definitely sacrificed to make sure that I was taken care of with playing and having the opportunity. And you hit it right on the head when you said being left alone when you had a bad game, because I'm one of those guys, I know when I have a bad game and I don't want people to talk to me. I think my dad definitely knew that at a young age.
Will, you're a class act. Good luck in 2016, my friend. Hope to see you when you're up here in Toronto. And again, continued success. And again, keep helping out those youngsters away from the pitch and give them confidence that they need as well, my friend. Thank you so much for making time again, Will.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Always a good time.
Will Bruin of the Houston Dynamo, proud Houston Dynamo player for a number of years, proud American, and a guy that always gives of his time. We're so grateful.